All right, so this is the playroom bar installation. We just got done installing these cabinets. We're gonna go over how we did it, things that we came away from it with, a little bit of learning here and there, and ways that we set these that actually worked really well. So we're gonna tell you the good, the bad, the ugly. And so what we have here, essentially we have a sink cabinet, we have a dishwasher, we're going to have a blind corner cabinet right there because there's nothing else to do with it. We have a little Bosch oven, wall oven, little microwave / wall oven, convection wall oven. We got this guy right here, which is just another appliance case. And I pulled that appliance case forward about 13/16 to 7/8 of an inch, so it's flush with the face of the door. And the reason we did it with an exposed interior there is because we are pulling that forward. You're gonna see the edge of the cabinet right there. Over here, we just have a single door base, and again, that's a refrigerator opening. Single door base cabinet. As you notice, we pulled the wires in. So as you see down here, you can see there's a bunch of wires coming through. These actually came out of the wall over here. So the electrician had installed these guys. You can't see it, but it's popping out of the wall down there on the bottom. We ran it underneath the toe kick. We went through here by just drilling a hole, a couple of holes, one for each wire. And then we took one's for the reefer, and the other one goes up and then over and through, and it's gonna be the island outlet or the Peninsula outlet. So those are super handy. Now, you might be saying, why didn't you just run it all the way underneath and come up? If you come up through here, you're gonna cut through your adjustable shelf. So you're gonna have to notch your adjustable shelf, and it's gonna be bad. So we went up in the refrigerator opening because this area is 26 inches deep. It's a little deeper for this one in the middle, but this is 26 inches deep. Anytime you have a peninsula, anytime you have an island, those base cabinets in that area need to be a couple inches deeper so that you can wire electrical, downdraft vents, everything else that you could think of, gas lines, you name it. Doing it at 24 is fine in theory, but 26 gives you the extra 2 inches for downdraft and all that other stuff. It makes it a lot easier for install. Okay, so 15-inch overhang. When you do an island, or a peninsula, and you're doing it at base height, which is 36 inches with the countertop installed, roughly, approximately. We like to have a 15-inch overhang. Some people will squeeze that down. I've seen a lot of production houses, they'll squeeze that overhang down to 12 inches. And in my opinion, I have kids. We had that in our last house, and it was a production house. We didn't do the cabinets in it. It was a nightmare. The kids kept kicking the back of the island, banged up those, everything was awful. So 15 inches keeps you out there. It's more comfortable. Your knees aren't gonna be hitting the bar back at all, and you'll be good to go. So moving on to installation of this one. Some other options here is what we did. So what we actually started with, this corner cabinet. I always like to start in the corner cabinets. I'm sorry, we started in the uppers because you can't really access these until you get to the uppers or get those things installed. So I referenced off the top, this is a 108-inch tall ceiling. So we took the top there, I believe it was a 6-inch tall, crown molding package. So and that's a 2-piece crown package. So it's got a 5-inch tall crown, and then there's a 1-inch gap below that. So it's a flat backer. Essentially you have a backer here, and then the crown molding attaches to the flat backer. The flat backer can be pulled forward or back as needed so that it's flush with the face of your doors, or it's even a little proud. That would be a good idea, especially if you're gonna be running scribe after the finished-in panels get installed. Scribe is a scribe molding. It's what we use to cover any sort of irregularities. See that gap? We're gonna use scribe molding to cover that later. We'll cover that in another video. Okay, so 6 inches there plus the cabinet height. And I went through and I just marked that line. This height between here and here, there's no tall cabinets, so we can kind of vary that as much as we want. I just went right off of that. That's roughly about 54 inches in elevation above the ground, and it actually worked out to be 54 inches above that. So 54 plus 54 is 108, which is 9 feet. Kind of cool. So moving on, went over, always install your corners first. Install this corner upper first, and then we installed these two by attaching them together. We attached those things together so they were perfectly, dialed in. We then, once this thing was installed, we only put one screw in here on the very top. And the reason we did that is we wanted to be able to shimmy this thing back and forth so that we could tighten up this gap. Notice how the blank panel's got those 2 fillers that stick out in front of it. If you look down here, you can actually see it. Notice how one filler sets behind the face of this guy, this cabinet right here. What we did was by attaching this cabinet with one screw, we went through here and we attached this with another one. So we went here, here, into the filler, and there, and made it real tight. Then we went through, we already know we had a ledger board up here. So again, we had a piece of plywood, a big long strip of plywood that we had leveled up. So we knew it was all level going this way. So then we went through and we plumbed them out. This was relatively plumb already. We didn't even need to put any filler or any pieces in there. Notice that this side is perfectly tight to the wall. But since these two cabinets were already attached together and we knew that this was level, we now then just had to go through and we had to figure out if it was plumb. So when plumb is either like this or like this. So we figured out where that was. It ended up being at the top. So we attached tight to the top and then we went down here and we shimmed it out a little bit in the bottom. Now you can tell this wall is bowed like this. Notice how it's tight on over there by that wire coming out. And then over here, we had to add a shim, and in there we had a huge shim, a lot bigger. And then over there it was closer to the wall again. So essentially we knew it was level because our ledger board, again, it's a big strip of plywood that we had going through here, was all good to go. We had that big strip. All we had to do is put those shims in there, pull the ledger board out after we had it all leveled up at the top, and then we just attached the shims here, and then we attached through the nailers down here. You can see that we have a shim right there, and then the screw going into the wall stud. So you would use the shims to keep it as tight as possible, and then you make it so that it doesn't pull the bottom of the cabinet into the wall. So that's pretty much that. Here we ran into a bit of an issue with this guy. Not so much it was hard to install. Again, we started with a strip of plywood, 6 to 10 inches wide strip, put it right there, leveled it up, took a measurement from the ceiling down, 54 inches, made a mark. Can't really see it now. It's right there. You can actually just barely see the pencil line. Made the mark, leveled that up. We knew that the cabinet was just like this. We actually installed it so that it was equal distance. So equal here and equal here. Problem is that when these guys went to install these windows, look at this. Look at this gap. Finger fits all the way in there. Doesn't fit there. They shifted the window over just slightly. So the windows aren't installed perfectly centered on the thing. Not a big deal. All we did was we took this cabinet, we moved it over 1/4 of an inch. Again, we reinstalled the ledger board real quick. We already had the holes drilled, ready to go. And then we pushed it over about 1/4 of an inch. Now we have an exact gap. So when we're installing, we're looking at a gap between the end of this cabinet right here, there's no finishing panel on it, but it doesn't matter, to the opening, start of the opening. That's exactly equal to that. And the reason for that is, as we pull it over, this is actually gonna get a little bit smaller, but you never see this exposed side on the same plane as this exposed side. If this is a sink, which it is, and you're sitting right here, looking at the mountain, you're gonna see this right here and right here. You're gonna be able to tell a huge difference if one is different than the other. Moving on, sink cabinet. We pulled, and during design here, I wanted to keep this sink centered on the window. That was really important to me, okay? To do that, I had to keep this sink right here at center, and I had to make this wide enough to the point where the side of this cabinet lined up with this one. That's a 24-inch dishwasher opening. It's a static cabinet. I cannot change the opening of that cabinet. The width of that cabinet itself is 25.5, so 24-inch wide opening down below, okay? Now we have the sink cabinet. That can be any width you want, it just needs to be larger than your sink. So in theory, we can make it 50 inches wide if we really wanted to. Not a big deal, okay? So what I wanted to do is keep that, so I had to make that one as wide as possible so that it was still centered on there and touching the side. And then we had to have this one going over here. So we got in a bit of a design paradigm at this point. So not too bad, we made it work, but by doing it, we had to eliminate the filler on this blank panel. Notice that there's no filler, 2-inch wide filler sticking out. There is there, but there's not there. I took the filler off in design and I shifted the whole cabinet into the face there. That's fine because this door is going to open this way, and the doors can, in theory, if they're cabinet to cabinet, it'll be just fine. It'll open straight up in a 90. The door might touch the handle on this drawer, possible, but at that point I really don't care because I'd rather have the cabinet centered than worrying about a handle hitting another handle. You know what I mean? Moving on. So when we got to the base, this was actually relatively simple to install. All we did was we took this cabinet, we attached that one to it, We then took this cabinet, attached that to the face of the blank panel. We took this cabinet, attached that one to that one to the side of the cabinet. And then we knew that it was pretty much perfectly square, just because we could take a framing square and we could check that. So we did that. It was all tight, nice and good. And then we just kind of shimmied it, kind of walked it back into the opening, and we got it back to where we needed to do it. Now, the reason we attached all these cabinets together and we didn't do one after another is that these walls, there's some bows going on. They're all over the place. Now, you can tell by our shim placement. I didn't remove the shims yet because I wanted you to see how much shimming we did and how they're to be used. So essentially what we did was, we don't have a ledger board on the base cabinet. So the floor was actually perfectly level. We didn't have any problems with that. There's just barely any shims down there. That's just because we had to pull it forward just a little bit to get it, because it was angled like this. Okay. So not too bad. We pushed it against the wall as much as we could. You can tell that when we got to it, it was tighter back here, but we had a bigger gap back here and another bigger gap over here. And it was tight back there on those two sides. So the wall was essentially out. Like, it's like not 90 degrees here, it's like 93 degrees, which is a lot. It's off, quite a bit. But again, the house framing, stuff like that, they're not gonna be that accurate. They don't care. So what we ended up doing was we decided to split the damage. So there's gonna be a little bit of a gap there and a little bit of gap there. We wanna keep that gap underneath 3/4 of an inch. And we're able to achieve that. And the reason we keep it under 3/4 is because we're gonna add scribe molding when it's all said and done. Scribe molding covers any gaps. It doesn't matter, they don't have to be exact. We have a little piece of scribe molding that goes right there, it adds to the cabinet package and it makes it look really good. Moving on to this side, once this thing was all set, we ended up having to level it up, just pull this thing up just a tad, just up. That made it so that it was perfectly level there, or plumb in this case. If you're looking at it this way from a vertical standpoint, it's plumb. If it's here, it's level. But we could do it either way. We could put the level on the face or even on the top, and we could figure out exactly how it is, because the cabinet parts are perfectly square. So we did that, and we ended up being, notice this, look at how the floor is. So we have shims here, which means we had to pull that thing up just a little bit, the face up just a little bit. Here, this thing is sitting directly on the floor, and then over here, we had to pull that one up just a tad. Before we got into the Peninsula, we went through here, and we wanted to make sure, this is a bit of a weird cabinet because there's no support at the front here. So you have to watch that. Don't just install it and assume that it's good, because there's no rail. So we went over, we measured it out. It's 24 inches wide at the top, 24 inches wide at the bottom. We dialed that in, and then we did a screw down into the floor. Now we're installing a wood floor here. Pretty easy. So just watch that. Make sure it's 24 and 24. Again, check to make sure that this is plumb. That was done. So moved on to the last part, Peninsula here. Take these 3 cabinets, we attached all 3 of them together. We went through and then we had to shim it up, because by this point, notice that we're touching the floor right there. See? But look, as we get down here, further and further away, it's getting bigger and bigger. So the floor is not perfectly level. As we get over here, we had to add shims in on both sides, with the front and the back. You can see the one coming in from the back, so that's how we had to attach it. Look at how much higher we're up off the floor over here. So as we're going all the way around, we're tight to the floor down there, but we're up 3/8 of an inch over here. Not bad, but not good either. So we have shoe molding for that. Shoe is what we put down around the base of the cabinet, and scribe is what we're gonna put over here. Anything vertical, put scribe on these things. And it's just a good idea to do that in your order. It's not that expensive of a molding, and it covers any sort of errors. So anyway, we got this thing, so we built that up, we leveled that whole guy up. Then we went through, and the first thing we did was we attached the filler here to make sure that that was all tight. Attach and attach. There's a third one up right there. Got that, so that was good. We know that this was already level. I'm sorry, plumb, as far as this way is concerned. So then we just attached that. We made sure that we were flush up here. We ran a level from here to here. We were level. So then we went through and we attached it down to the floor. Now, when you're out in a Peninsula, you have to attach down to the floor. There's really no other way to do it. You can attach to the wall, but it's not gonna do you much good. So I went through and I tried to hit every point I could. And I hit it there. again, just do it where you can. And while we're doing this install and while we're doing shims, the general rule with shims is do them every time you have a cabinet partition. If you have a partition and it's touching the floor, you don't need shims, but if it's up off the floor a little bit, put some shims underneath there because the granite is heavy. It's gonna be a big old heavy piece of granite. And when they have that thing all installed on there, it's gonna be putting, you know, somebody's gonna get crazy one night, drinking too much tequila, and be jumping up there. You know, there are gonna be some issues. You know, that stuff's gonna be supported down there with those shims, and all that weight's gonna be resting on it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The only other thing to talk about I haven't done yet is adding on top support. So this is 15 inches, that's a lot. So that's a pretty good extension. Now some granite or some like newer stone, like man-made stone, like Corian or Caesar stone, that's man-made. It's pretty strong. So you might be able to get 15 inches of overhang, but I'm judging for people down the road drinking tequila and doing some weird dancing on the edge of that countertop. And I don't want to be sitting there, you know, footing the bill for a brand new slab. You know, that's a couple grand, or if not more. You know how the prices are these days. So I'm using a fast cap speed brace. Essentially, it's a fast cap speed brace. So that's what it is. So it attaches here. You're gonna attach to this thing. Another one here. Another one here. Another one here. Now that piece is only about 1/4 of an inch thick. That's technically, I think it's about 3/16, but there's 4 of them. So those are gonna attach coming out. And you can do them either way. You can actually attach them like this and then have the granite, you know, just resting on top of that. Or you could even, if you have a plunge router, you can do this sort of inset thing, and you can do it on a piece of plywood or something like that over here, so you can't feel it. When you reach up underneath that countertop, you're not gonna wanna feel that steel bar. Again, if you do wanna feel the steel bar, it doesn't really matter because you're not gonna see it. So I just had the CNC up and operational. So again, this is kind of optional stuff, but you do this with a plunge router or just a regular router. You build a jig around it, and then you just route. You start going to town, just routing the stuff out. It's pretty easy. But again, it's not really necessary. So that's pretty much it. Well, 15-inch overhang there. You know, their backs are gonna be almost in the hallway, but I really wanted to maximize the size of this playroom kitchen. I think it works pretty good. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions.